Hey everybody, this is TotalGamerJunkie. I want to welcome you all back to my channel. So as you all know, the Last of Us 2 trailer has been revealed today, the release date trailer, and it is the 21st of February next year. Because obviously, you know, it's September, it's not like we're going to go backwards. But anyways, in this video, I want to go over everything in the trailer, and I want to talk about my theories and what I think will happen in the story, and you know, because I'm really looking forward to this game. I'm gonna be this Last of Us was actually The Last of Us 1 was the first R18 game I played on the PS3. My on PS2, the first R18 game I played, the first R18 game I played at all was Playboy Mansion, which is, you know, I don't know why I said that on this channel, but oh well. Anyways, so I'm gonna go over some theories and that in this video. Let me know what you all think in the comments below. So let's get started. Okay, so the first shot we hear is we can see a bunch of mountains and a little town there in the distance all lit up. I believe that's Tommy's place where Joel and Ellie and Tommy's wife live and all that. The place that you visited in the first game, which was a hydroelectric power plant. So we're probably going to be staying there for at least half an hour, at least like an hour of the story, I think. Not half an hour, that'd be too short. But I do believe it's going to be like an hour, maybe even an hour and a half, focused on that community. And then that's when everything's going to kick off. Because if you've played The Last of Us 1, that area you're in at the beginning of the game, this is after Joel loses his daughter Sarah. You're in that area for a good, it depends on how you play it, but you can be in there for half an hour, for like 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how you play. I was like in there for an hour. Anyways, let's move on to the next screenshot. Here we have Ellie and Dina, and they're talking, and Dina goes to Ellie, on a scale of 1 to 10, how did you like the kiss? So, if any of you remember when they first showed the gameplay trailer, Ellie was dancing with Dina, and then the two of them kissed, and then it flashed forward later in the future where Ellie was killing a guy. So we can assume that when the kiss she was talking about was at that party, and this is either later on in the night or the next day. And you can also notice that Dina, I think she's smoking pot, and the reason I believe this is because in the next screenshot, take a look at it here, that looks to be a big ass weed plant. Now I know some of you can argue that, oh, it could be vegetation growing in from the outside, but if you look underneath the table you can see a pot plant, so, you know, I assume a pot plant growing pot, that's a play on words there, pot growing pot, or it's something, you know. So anyways, yeah, I do believe that they're growing their own pots, so not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, like, I don't smoke pot, but if I had to choose between doing pot and cocaine, I'd obviously do pot because I don't want to turn into a psychopath. Now, these next three screenshots show us a better look of the town because in The Last of Us we didn't really get a good look at it. We got to look at the hydroelectric power dam. We got to look at the office and all that, you know. Just that main area where they do all the controls for the water pumps and that, but here we actually get a good look at the city. Like in the next screenshot coming up, you'll see that there's a kid there running towards Dina, but it looks like he might be running behind her. And you can also see other kids in the background too, and they've really set up this place. Like you can see how in the previous screenshot the guy had all those logs on a cart or a wagon, whatever you want to call it. So I assume that they're cutting down nearby trees to help build these lodgings or log cabins, whatever you want to call it. Now the guy here, he was from the trailer, not the first ever Life is Strange 2 trailer, but the one where Ellie and Dina kissed. It was when she was talking to her, and I think he wanted to get with her, if I remember correctly. I may be wrong, but I think he was talking to Ellie, saying that they broke up or something, so maybe the two of them can fight for some reason, because it's hinted that Dina dies, so maybe he could blame her for that, and the two of them could end up getting into a fight or something. Now, here we see Ellie reloading her rifle, and she's ready to go out hunting, because I assume all these people, when they the guy said, he's like, mark your logs and that, I assume that they're going off to the area, they're hunting for deer and that, because it really is, from what we saw in the first screenshot, it's a big town, maybe full of 1,000 people, maybe more, and obviously you need to keep hunting to keep a town like that well and fed. You can even see there's there's like, not a bunch, but there's 2 horses in the background, I believe. Or is it 3? No, 4. You can see that there's 4 horses in that pen, so you can see, so, why do I keep saying see? I don't know. You all can see, I don't know why I'm saying it. So yeah, basically, I assume this place has to have over 1,000 people, at least that's what I believe, given the size. Now, the gates here, to me, they don't look, even though they're big, they look wooden, they don't look, like, too sturdy, not like the gates, at the hydroelectric power plant in Life is Strange 1, where Cole and Ellie are trying to get in, and this is where Joel runs into his brother. Yeah, so anyways, this next shot we can see we've got our rundown houses, and so basically, there's snow here, and I assume that, like Last of Us 1, Last of Us 2 is going to go through all the seasons, but I think winter is going to be first, then spring, then summer, then autumn, because in Life is Strange 1 we had summer, autumn, winter, then spring. Now, for me, this is where the trailer starts to get more interesting. Sorry about that. You see, the clickers, I believe that when they go after people, they bite them to get infected. They don't really, clickers, infected, sorry, like, there's not just one class. Infected don't really eat people. They bite them and they try to turn them. That's what they do. When playing Life is Strange, I've never once seen a clicker eat a person. Like, yeah, they bite you. Like when you're playing as Joel or Ellie, if a runner, stalker, or a clicker gets you, then they will bite you. But a bloater will just rip your jaw open. So I assume that whatever did this to that animal can't be infected. It has to be either people, or the antagonist in this game, or it has to be a pack of wolves, or something like that. Now, this part here is what is most interesting to me. Now, as you see Ellie, she's wearing a mask, and if you've ever played Life is Strange 1, she never had to wear a mask because of the spores, because she's immune. Her immunity stops her from turning, so why is she wearing a mask? Now, there are a few reasons about this. One of them is that nobody else, Joel and Tommy, are the only ones that know she's immune, and she has to wear this mask because she doesn't want other people talking and that, because in Last of Us 1, Joel is like, don't tell people about your condition, they'll either think you're crazy or try to kill you. So she's just blending in, she's pretending to wear a mask, like she's pretending that the spores are deadly to her and that, like everybody else. But another theory I have is that Sony's just added this on. It's not, the mask isn't really there, it's just been added on as an effect, because in game trailers and movie trailers, people can add certain stuff. Like, for Thor Ragnarok, they got rid of, when Thor was missing an eye, they made sure he had 2 eyes, but when we saw the actual trailer, the actual movie, he had 1 eye, and he had thunder around him, which is completely different. Like, if you check back with the trailer where he's fighting Hulk, and they jump up in the air and they go to do that punch, in the trailer, Thor doesn't have his electricity, but in the movie he does. Now, anyways, I'm moving on. So we see here Ellie's trying to get across something, and she falls right through, I think it's glass or something, like, no, it's not glass. Let's just say she fell through the floor. And when she does, she ends up seeing a clicker. But for some reason, I don't know why, to me, it looked like it wasn't going to attack her. Like, maybe Ellie is being completely silent after the fall. She's not moving, and even though she's got her hands up, she's not making a sound. So the clicker is just standing there, and it's like, what's going on? You know, like if you throw a Molotov cocktail and the clickers run over the area and they're just looking around.
Danny
Or like,
and Grandma
and
were working on her
that's a pretty
singing
effective
thesis
way to
while
kill
she
them, just
subtracts
by throwing a
unnecessary
Molotov
words
cocktail.
and adds one
And they run
necessary
and they look in
citation.
the area
It
and
will
then they
earn her a
burn to
degree
death.
that will hang right
But
here.
anyways, it's
Grammarly, helping you
Ellie's
get
either
it. Go to
keeping like
Grammarly.com to
really
download.
quiet so it doesn't hear her,
Do you
or
want to know a secret?
it's like choosing to ignore her for some reason. But you can see the other infected, they attack her as well, but
Dip your mermaid
I
in
just thought
soy
this
or
was a little
Coke.
weird here.
Then name them all. Discover
Now
the
with these next
exceptions.
screenshots, we can see that Ellie is riding through a snowstorm and she's looking for Dina. And while she's calling out to her, she ends up coming upon a house. Now, well, it's not a house, but like a cabin in the woods, I guess you could say. And it really gives me a bit of bad vibes because if you remember when you played as Ellie in The Last of Us, when you have to get away from those guys, David's group of people who are trying to kill you, you end up sneaking through this log cabin or whatever it's called. And right as you're about to get out, David comes behind and he's like chokes you out. So it really, I don't know. I'm just getting vibes like from that. It's just giving me deja vu. I don't know why. Is it happening to any of you? Let me know in the comments below. So in this screenshot here, we can see Ellie. I believe that she's still in that log house, and she's making her way. She's found, I guess you could call it a basement, and there's a blood trail. So she ends up going down there, she opens the door, and then she gets overpowered, and her face, it looks like she got beaten. Now I assume these are the people that you'll be killing in the main story. Like even in that demo trailer where we see Ellie killing a bunch of people and that guy with an axe just throws her through a glass shelf or whatever it was. I assume he was with these people. So they rough up Ellie, and Ellie's like, please don't. And then there's a gunshot. And we all assume that it's Dina getting shot, but what if it's not Dina? What if it's the other guy, the one that was talking about the ledgers? You know, maybe they're doing this to mislead us, to throw us off track. Okay, so right here, we got this one. Ellie's sitting on a bed, or maybe a sofa, or is that a mattress? I can't tell. But I think it might be a mattress. So anyway, she's sitting there and she's got all these bruises on her back and arms and she's topless. Now, I assume that she got a beating from those people who may or may not have killed Dina. Now, like, there are a few things that come to mind because Life is Strange it's pretty dark for a game. Like, it is a good story. It's one of the best. Last of Us was one of the best stories ever, and I can say with 100% certainty that Last of Us 2 is going to top Last of Us 1 by 10 times, by I guess you could say by another 100%. So this game could be could be 200% great. Well, not could, it's going to be 200% great because first game came out what, 2013? And so this game's coming out in 2020, so that's a 17-year gap. Like, if you take a look at Red Dead Redemption 2, for example, the first game came out 2010, then the Red Dead Redemption 2 came out 2018, 8 years later, and that is one hell of a game, and one of my favorite games of all time. And to be honest, with the story campaign, I've only played it once, because it was so good and I felt so satisfied playing it. I believe if I play it a second time, it's really gonna I don't know, like, just kind of get rid of the magic. I can't really explain it. So, anyways, a few things do come to mind which are not pleasant. Now, it is implied that Dina died and Ellie goes on a rampage to kill all the people responsible for her love interest's death, but is it just killing her did they just shoot Dina? Is that what these people did? I get the feeling that they've done a little more. Now, best case scenario, they killed Dina. It was quick and clean. I mean, the best case scenario would be her being alive. But if she is dying in the story, the best case scenario for her would be a quick death. Now, worst case scenario, and I'm not afraid to say it, okay? I don't want to see it, but like they obviously won't show it. Like they'll like pan the screen somewhere else. But the way I see it, like for worst case scenario, those two people holding down Ellie will make her watch as this other group of people rape Dina, and I know what you're thinking. Like, what? They're not going to show that now. They obviously wouldn't show that. Like, I mean, it would happen, and it'd probably show Ellie's face as she's forced to watch it happen and be powerless to do something about it. Like, take a look at David, for example. This guy was a child molester, okay? And even though we didn't see anything, when Ellie's in the cage and he puts his hand on top of hers, that's just really creepy, and I'm pretty sure he's a child molester because it's the way he looks at Ellie, the way he touches her hand, and when you're playing as Joel interrogating those two guys in the house where Ellie's been taking care of Joel, one of the guys tells Joel that Ellie's alive and that she is David's newest pet. And maybe it's not just Dina, maybe Ellie also gets raped too, and that this only fuels fire, like the fire inside her to go and kill these people. It's certainly like even though I don't want to, I don't want to picture that idea. I can certainly see all that rage, like after what happened to Dina and possibly Ellie. I can see Ellie just full gone batshit crazy, just slaughtering all these people. So it would make more sense, like, but really, I hope it's just Dina just getting shot in the head. I don't want that to happen to Dina. She seems like a nice person, but we'll just have to wait and see. And speaking of things I don't want to see, I don't honestly like Ellie is one of those characters that I just love, and I really, I really don't want to see. Like, I'm fine with her seeing her completely topless from behind, but I do not want to see the front because I don't know. There's just some characters that in games I just can't picture like naked. Like one of them is Elizabeth from The Last of Us. I mean, no, sorry, from Bioshock, from the Bioshock Infinite and Bear at Sea episode 1 and 2. I cannot like I can't. Like, I can picture her wearing lingerie, but that's about it. I cannot picture her naked. It just hurts my brain. It really does, and disgusts me. Because she's one of my favorite and beloved characters of all time. So if they do show topless, then basically, like, that's how I want to see it, like how the screenshot is. If there has to be side boob, then okay, but no, nothing more than that. I do not want to see her. I do not want to see the front of her topless. Okay, so this next shot we got Tommy here, and he looks like he brought Ellie some baked goods or something. Maybe he's trying to cheer her up or something, get rid of the grief that she's feeling. But we can tell that from these screenshots that she's not interested in letting her grief go and trying to move on. She wants to get revenge, and she's here, and we see her put a gun in the bag, and she's also got an arrow ready. She's also wearing a smaller shirt. We get a nice, good look at her tattoo there, which I'd like to see how she got that tattoo actually. And in the next screenshot, we can see that she's just out here on her horse. And I gotta say, the landscape is just beautiful. It is very impressive, and I'm surprised that to see all these buildings, they don't look as bad as I thought they would be. Like, yeah, we can obviously see some wreckage, but like, well, not some. You can see the buildings. They're broken and they're deteriorating, but I'm surprised to see that they aren't really collapsed on each other. You know what I mean? Just because with The Last of Us 1, when you're going, sorry about my throat. When you're with Tess and you got to get Ellie to the Fireflies, you can see like how all the buildings are destroyed and they're kind of like falling over on each other, but here the buildings look perfectly intact. Like, maybe the other group is living in these buildings and they're just maintaining them, you know what I mean? Taking care of them, and they're killing off all the runners, clickers, stalkers, bloaters, and they're making sure, and then they're slowly reclaiming parts of the city. That'd be pretty interesting to see. Like, I thought, because Last of Us 1, you reclaim that city. Well, you don't reclaim it, but after the opening 20, when it goes to 20 years later as Joel, you'll see that the city is pretty, it's a city that you're in, and some part, and the local militia, or whatever it's called, has taken over parts of the city for people to live in. Now, the next part here is we got Tommy and he's talking to Ellie, and I assume this is where Ellie's like, I'm going off to kill these people, and Tommy's like, you have no idea what you're walking into. And it is cryptic, but I believe Tommy knows more about this group than he's let on, because if you remember, when you first meet up with Tommy in Life is Strange, they get attacked by a bunch of raiders, but maybe these raiders were part of this other group. In the maybe, like, you know what I mean. These people were part of a group here in The Last of Us 2 that possibly killed Dina. Now, and Ellie's like, "What are you doing? What are you talking about?" And I feel like he's trying to warn her, like, because he might have had interactions in the past, because this is, after all, a 5-year gap, so, you know, maybe they killed his wife or something. Maybe they killed a bunch of people he knew. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, I do love the next screenshot coming up, which is the boat, and you're just looking out into the water. I really do enjoy it, how it's got all the... You can see, like, there's a Ferris wheel in the background, and I like how you got that... It looks like a train. I think that's like a train bridge, you know, where a train goes on the rails and just goes across, and you can see all the greenery and the plant life just overgrowing the buildings, and how it's dark and kind of depressing. That's one of the things I like. That's one of the things I love, not like, sorry. One of the things I love about The Last of Us is how dark and depressing it can be, because I love that dark stuff. You know what I mean? I just love games that they don't always make it happy and giddy. I like dark elements in my games, and this certainly looks to double up on the darkness that Life is Strange 1 had. I mean The Last of Us, not Life is Strange 1. Wow. Could you imagine just, like, if Life is Strange really went dark, and you got... Just imagine, like, you got Max, and she's just... Because I remember, this is completely off topic, I'm sorry, but there are these funny pictures you can read, of Tom Gold, and they're so amazingly dark and funny. Like, there's one where, you know, when Chloe, if you have her shoot the bumper of a car and she gets shot, and it's like, Max, rewind, and she sees the look on Max's face, and it's like, how many times have you watched this? And Max is like, oh, I've watched you shoot yourself 157 times. Oh, it's just such dark humor. Like, there's this one where she kills Victoria and rewinds time. And when Victoria's, like, insulting her in class, you see this Max have this, like, bloodlust look in her eye. It's... Oh, man, they are just so good. So good. So in here we got a train tunnel, and it looks abandoned, except for these people living in there, and I assume that they're the group who possibly killed Dina. And then you got this guy right here, and he looks like he's... he's obviously torturing someone, but I can't tell if that guy's naked or not because of how dark the lower torso is, but I do think he's naked, and I think this guy torturing him might be one of the main antagonists we have to face in the game. Because obviously Ellie is going to be killing these people, that's why she's here. She's out for revenge, and I believe that she's going to be going after the main person or persons of the group who possibly killed Dina. Now, I want to talk about this scene right here, where Ellie has the arrow in her shoulder and she pulls it out. Now, ever since the first trailer came out for the games, I've had a few theories of myself, and one of them has always stuck with me. That Ellie is a hybrid of an infected. What I mean is, all the infected, they, as you all know, they can die, but they do have, all of them, the bloaters, runners, clickers, stalkers, they all have a higher pain tolerance than ordinary humans, but they can still die from just not conventional. Sorry, I don't know why I said conventional, but they can die from serious injuries. Like take a look at Joel for example. If like you not if sorry, remember, um, after you leave Tommy's place, and this is where Joel gets sneak attacked, and he falls off. He falls from a high place and ends up getting his left side impaled on by some debris. What was it called? A rebar or something like that. And so, like, he was in a lot of pain. He could hardly walk, and Ellie had to take care of him and had to help him get out. If Ellie was in that situation, I do believe she'd have more of a tolerance to that pain, because here we can just see her rip the arrow out with ease. And yes, she obviously is in pain, but that pain, her tolerance for pain would be 10 times stronger than an average person. So she'd be able to, she'd be dealt, sorry, I'm getting tongue tied. If she's being attacked or beaten, she'd be able to take a beating and wouldn't be in as much pain as an ordinary person. You know what I mean? And I actually want to continue this later on, but for now, we'll get to it. We're not gonna rush it. But I will be talking about the possibility of Ellie being like a hybrid form of infected later on in this video. But for now, let's just focus. Let's keep the pace going at one screenshot at a time. Well, it's obviously not one screenshot at a time because I keep showing multiple ones, but let's just focus on the trailer order. You know what I mean? When we're watching the trailer from start to finish, these are all those screenshots. And apparently the next screenshot is the one where her hand's shaking, which was what I was just referring to, as I can talk about more about her possibly being a hybrid infected. Now, I think it's interesting the way it's angled here. Now, they didn't give us a long shot of Ellie. They didn't give us a shot from behind. What Naughty Dog chose to focus on was the camera looking up, showing her hand, and having it shake. Now, if any of you remember the first ever trailer for Life is Strange 2 when they were revealing it, we see Ellie playing a guitar, but you can see, I believe it's after she finishes it, that's when her hand starts shaking. I'll just take a look, hold on, because, I got it up here, no, it's right before she plays the guitar, you see her hand shaking. And then she has to close her fist, and then she opens it again, and it looks like everything's fine, then she starts playing the guitar. That's pretty much what happens with her hand here. I mean, if you take a look at the trailer, when you watch her hand, it's shaking, and she clenches her fists again. Now, we all know that Ellie isn't really scared. Like, why would her hand be scared when she's playing the guitar? She's scared that she's going to screw up or something? No, because clickers and that, they shake. That's what some of them do. Like if you look at, when you're sneaking around infected, you can see them just moving and they're kind of like shaking. Like, if you remember Sam from The Last of Us 1, this was just right when summer ended. You run to Sam and Henry, and Sam ends up getting bitten, but he doesn't mention it. And when Ellie goes to wake up Sam, you can see him standing, and he's just going, and his body is shaking. So I do believe that, in a sense, Ellie, because as you all know, the fungus, it's what mutates. It's what turns runners into stalkers, then clickers, then bloaters. I do believe that it is mutating inside Ellie, and it's starting to change her. That's why she's shaking. But obviously that's just a theory. I guess another theory could be that the part that's making her immune is evolving at some point, so it's somehow the infection is fighting the immunity, and it's slowly turning Ellie into a new form of infected. That could be a possibility, but I like the idea of her being like a hybrid infected. And it'd be interesting to see, like, as the story goes along, we could see Ellie start to lose her shit and get more aggressive like the infected does. I think that'd be pretty cool to see. And then it'd be like, oh, okay, so her immunity is wearing down, she's slowly starting to turn, or she's going to turn to something else entirely. I think that would be pretty interesting to see. And speaking of aggression, these kills, if you've watched the video, they are pretty brutal, and I, for one, am looking very forward to testing them out. Like this guy right here, Ellie goes to shoot him, and it blows the guy back with such a force that I believe it blows off his head. Let's see. Does it blow off his head? Yes, it does. It blows off his head and sends him flying back. It goes off his feet. I'm really looking forward to like killing people with this. Not in this screenshot, but in the next one, you can see Ellie, and she's got the axe, and she's attacking one of the guys. I really look forward. Like that's obviously going to be my favorite melee weapon of all time. Just seeing Ellie using axes on these assholes. Just chopping their meat. Oh man, it's gonna be so good, because that's one of the things I love about The Last of Us is the brutality. They don't pull the punches. They try to show as much gore as possible. Now these next three images, you all, I'm pretty sure that most of, if not all of you, are going to be saying this is a clicker, but it's not a clicker. A bloater. It's not a bloater. You see, I was reading this article where these reporters or something, they got a sneak peek at The Last of Us 2 gameplay, and what happened was they showed off this new enemy time. So what you're seeing here, this creature, this bloater-looking creature, this is after the bloater stage. This is a bloater that's nearing the end of its life and is going to die and just collapse on the wall. Sorry, I just had to swallow my saliva there. I need to get some water. Yep, so anyways, what happened was, like, you know the four stages. You got runner, stalker, clicker, bloater, and then they die and they go on the wall. That's, for me, I don't consider it a bloater because it's entering the final stages of death and it's going to be attaching itself to a wall, so I don't think it's going to be called a bloater. I guess you could call it a near-death bloater or something like that, but I personally don't consider it a bloater. So here we have Ellie about to go for a door when an enemy kicks it in and surprises her. I believe these surprise attacks are going to be more common in Life is Strange 2 because these enemies aren't just... I get the feeling that they aren't just common bandits and raiders, looters, thieves, rapists. Like, I get the feeling that there's something more because they call Ellie the wolf or a wolf or just wolf, however they say it. So I get the feeling that there's more to them than just your typical murdering thug. And then we have a dog here. I'm sorry that the picture's blurry. It's the best I could do. And I don't think it's infected, but I think, I'm pretty sure I heard somewhere that there will be infected animals at some point. Don't quote me on this, I'm not too sure, but I don't know if it's a rumor or not, or maybe I dreamt it, but I think there's going to be infected animals, and that dog doesn't look infected. It actually kind of reminds me of Rosie from the final season of The Walking Dead. In case Marlon's old dog before, he got killed, fuck
Danny
Marlon.
and Grandma
Now, next
were working
screenshot
on her
coming
senior
up is
thesis,
just Ellie, and it
where she
looks like
subtracts
she's
unnecessary words
about to kill
and
a
adds one
clicker,
necessary citation. It will earn her
a
a degree
stalker, I
that will
think it
pay
is, because it's a
right
dark
here.
area. And this
Grammarly,
next
helping you
shot
connect
is
to
Ellie, and she's
Grammarly.com
sitting
today.
down, and she's shooting someone.
Do you want to know a secret?
Now, this next shot, we see a runner, I believe it is, trying to get into the car to attack Ellie. But I believe that this here, because Ellie's in a car, I think that there's obviously one of two things is going to happen. She's going to end up crashing the car, and then the runner's going to start coming in to attack her, or she's going to end up, the runner's going to attack the car, and while she's trying to fend it off, she's going to drive forward, and she's going to be driving with the runner, and then it's going to fall out of the car. Now, here is the most interesting part of the game, ask anyone. We see Ellie here, and suddenly someone grabs her from behind and covers her mouth, and we think this person is trying to hurt her, but they're actually keeping her quiet as a car passes by. And then it's later revealed that this person is Joel, and Ellie's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And Joel responds with, "You think I was going to let you do this on your own?" Now, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, that means Joel's in the game, he's gonna be a companion and that. I don't think he is, to be honest. Like, hear me out. The fact that they show Joel here means, okay, yeah, this is great. He's gonna be showing up. We're gonna have the duo back together. But what if he's not really there? This is something crazy. What if he's actually merely what's it called, an apparition? Like think Call of Duty Black Ops, for example. You know, where Mason after the Vorkuta mission, every time you see Reznov is in Mason's head. Now I know what you're thinking. What does Black Ops and Reznov have to do with Last of Us 2? Well, you see, because people who like get bitten with the cordyceps, because it's a fungal infection that affects the brain, and it begins to alter the behavior of its host. Now, if we see, as I mentioned before with Ellie's hand, how it's shaking, that can mean that the fungus is actually affecting her, as I said, and it's changing her. So maybe the part of her brain that's, well, not part of the brain, sorry, but how the fungus is fighting off it. Like, I'd assume that maybe some part of her brain has been affected by the fungus if her hand is shaking in that, because as I've mentioned before, I believe that she's this new type of infected, like a hybrid of sorts. So who's to say that her brain couldn't have been affected and she's imagining Joel there, like, but he's not really there. I think that would be one hell of a twist. And when they make Life is Strange Part 3, because let's face it, they will, they're going to explore more into Ellie and how she's slowly turning in that, or she's turning into a new hybrid, like whatever, you know. But I think that'd be very interesting for Joel to not actually be there and he's just a hallucination because of Ellie's mental state is slowly deteriorating or something because of the fungus. But, you know, obviously that's not going to happen, but, you know, it'd be cool if it did. And finally, we get the last screenshot, which is the reveal date. February 21st, 2020. Now, I, for one, am glad that they're waiting until 2020. Like, I know, some people are like, oh, they want the game now, but I'd rather a game take its time and not be rushed, so that way you get the best quality out of it. Like, games like, for example, Fallout New Vegas, that was a game that was rushed and they didn't get everything that they could put in there. Just like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, that was a rushed game as well. So I'm really glad that the release date is until next year, and if they have to push it back again, I'm okay with that. So anyways, that's really all I wanted to talk about. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. This is TotalGamerJunkie, signing off.